Well, hello and welcome again to Garden Cottage. Excuse me. If you don't already know and have this is the first time you're visiting this channel, I'm Cindy and I love homemaking. I love make, do and mend. I love upcycling and all sorts of things like that, and frugal solutions and things. So this week, every month, as most of you know, as I've said in the description box, it'll tell you what week I'm doing what video to do with the topics, even though every day I do bits and pieces of everything. And this week is a homemaking week. Even though yesterday I spent quite a few hours out in the garden planting out plants ready to grow on and sowing more seeds and making covers for the raised beds. Right, as you can see, I am chopping up pillowcases. For those of you who are already in the know, you know that this is for the rag rugs that I'm making, and I've run out of pale fabrics, so I took pillowcases. I'm never going to use them, and I absolutely love crisp white bed linen, but it's just not practical in this house, so they're becoming part of the rag rugs. And I am chopping off the seams because I don't unpick the seams. That would take way too long, and of course going to be as little, to make as little waste as possible. The seams that I'm cutting off can be used for quite a few other things. The first one I thought of was using ties in the garden. They're softer than some strings, so I thought I could use them as plant ties in the garden. They make nice ones. Or if you have long hair, which I used to have, if you have long hair, you can use it to tie your hair up like a ribbon. So yeah, lots of uses for that. I'm sure we can think of lots of other uses for it as well. Aye. And these are obviously going to go to finish more. I'm almost done with the second one. I haven't touched it in over a week. Just been way busy. So I thought I'd better get fabrics ready, and then I can just get into the swing of it because I've run out of the pale white and cream fabrics. And that's what I'm getting right. Oh, that bread is ready. I can smell it. It's almost burning. Hang 10. Give me a mo. Not too bad. It's alright. Dark crust. It's been one of those weeks. Oh, see how easy that is to lift out the tin when it's in baking paper? Like that. So easy. Look at that. That's not a bad load. Yep, that's done. That can cool off. What I do to cool that off is I put a tea towel over the top, double folded, and a plastic bag. And as it cools off, it'll soften the top crust, because I hate horrible, nasty top crusts that are hard and cut your mouth when you try to eat them. So, oops, have I turned the oven off? Yep. There you go. Ooh, and of course, every now and again, I have to give myself a rest, and my hands, because it's really painful on the hands, all this cutting. I am not measuring any of the strips because it's a rag rug and you're not going to see them in their strips. They're going to be compacted into that kind of shape, so it doesn't matter if it's 100% straight, as long as it's kind of even all the way. And I'm so used to doing it now, I can sort of do it by eye. So there you go. And so I'll put a link in the top corner of the screen in the end card to link to the video where I talk about the rag rug I'm busy making. And I think I'll also put a link to the video where I talk about my thoughts on homemaking. Upstairs my son is busy cleaning and gutting his room and moving furniture around, and he's got the vacuum cleaner going right now, so I can't have done too bad a job if he's doing all that, being quite self-sufficient and self-reliant and taking care of his room. Right, so making bread for me has not been a hobby, it's an everyday thing that I do. I used to do it only when I got the chance to do it, you know, a bit like a hobby. Oh, it's nice, let's make a loaf of bread. And then increasingly over the years it's become more of a necessity thing. And yes, making your own bread can be more expensive than buying your own bread. However, I have found that you can make 2 loaves of bread out of 1 packet of flour, which would end up being cheaper than buying a loaf of bread anyway, because really all you need is your flour, your yeast, a bit of salt and your water. You don't even need any fats if you don't want to. It doesn't need it. Makes a nice difference, but that is all you need. So it still can be cheaper to make your own bread than to buy it. But that's not the reason why I make my own bread. I make my own bread because it's a necessity for us, for me especially, when I'm trying to be frugal and trying to bring our costs down these next 5 months, just because of when the money goes into the bank compared to when the direct debits goes out, things cross over and it just doesn't, the payments aren't as in the right place they usually are. So, and of course, having completed some of the garden projects and more to do, we're still having to scrimp, or rather super scrimp, for quite some time. So if I make my bread, I am more likely not to be spending any more money, because you know yourself, you go to the shop for 1 item and come out with 10, or go in for 2 or 3 items and come out with a whole basket full of shopping that you didn't intend getting, because you remember, oh, I forgot this, or I forgot that, or what I could do with that, that would be nice, let's have a treat. So for me, making my own bread stops me needing to go out to the shop. So 1, I'm not buying things I don't need to, because I've already got the bread here. 2, I'm not spending the money on fuel, because I usually would do that kind of thing on the way to doing something else, so that I'm not wasting fuel on just shorter journeys. I could walk to the shop, but then with the schedule I have, I would never get any work done. So I try to do that kind of thing in the same day that I have loads of other jobs to do while I'm out, so that I can do a circuit in my journeys in one day, rather than lots of small journeys over lots of different days. Just do one journey around circle and save money and fuel and mileage that way. But yeah, I mean, I've got so used to making bread now that I use a specific recipe I got off a Hovis yeast packet many years ago. Gosh, my daughter's 30 now, and she was 28 years ago. And the recipe is stuck in my head. It's like a sponge cake recipe that came off the Flora margarine tub equally long time ago, that I've memorized. I mean, we don't make it anymore because we don't eat eggs anymore, we don't use them. But on a special occasion for like the children or grandchildren, I would use them to make cakes. But I've got this recipe in my head, and I've been able to alter it to make it a bit more, or rather less fat in it. I use yogurt and fruit mash instead of margarine. But it so those kind of things, once you get a basic recipe in your head and you've done it often enough, it sticks in your head and you never need to look at the recipe again. And you can even come up with different variations of it on experimentation. So that's where I am with bread. I just stick a few extra bits in, like this recipe for today. I stuck in some treacle and some sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds for a difference, and the flours I used, they always tell you, all these professional bakers, don't mix your flours. Your different types of flour. Wow, I would say bollocks. But I have mixed my flours and it works perfectly fine. I don't have very light soft white bread or like French bread or anything, or brioche like that. It's a good solid homemade loaf of bread. It's nice and springy, it's not soggy, it's not too heavy either, but it's made with a third of rye bread flour, a third of granary bread flour, and a third of plain white flour. Of course, I've been doing other things as well. I've pinned the hems of a pair of trousers somebody gave me. I have some fabrics that was given to chop up like this, but I can't bring myself to chop it up for rags. I would like to make something out of it, nighties, curtains, other stuff like that. And yes, I know how to make my own clothes. No, I don't do it often. It's a necessity thing, and I am definitely no seamstress. I could never ever pass any kind of test on, you know, the British Sewing Bee. I would never go on there. But I can make do. Not just with what I have, but my skills. I make do with what I have. And even if that's not that brilliant, my skills that I have, I use where I can. I'll try to improve them, but, you know, that's why ironing probably would have made this job a bit easier. But I don't have that kind of time in the day. So I should almost have enough fabric now to carry on for at least another rug. That's my son making do and mending too. Gosh. So not only has he learned how to clean his room by himself and move furniture around, he's also learned from us how to make do with what he has, alter what he has to fit his purposes. I'm going to give myself a brownie badge for that one. Or not a badge. It's a bit boasty, I know, but I don't think we did a bad job there if you can do that. Even my daughter. She's the queen of baking cakes and cupcakes and muffins. She really does a brilliant job. So I think my homemaking has had a good effect on my children. Somewhere down the line. Because they're using the skills that I've shown them. So I find comfort in that. I think I mentioned that in the last video as well. That there is a link to in the corner. So there you go, folks. I mean, I've done all sorts of things. What else have I done? A little bit of clearing out, little corners. You know, you can't tackle an entire bedroom clean out or a living room clear out or a purge of a room, but taking one little corner or one little drawer is actually quite an achievement. It is in this house. So that's the little things I've been doing. I haven't been able to do a great deal, but the little things, clearing out little corners, so that when I do eventually get a chance to do a big clear out, little bits are already done. It won't be so bad. Anyway, I think my hands are done with cutting now. I think I've got enough to be getting on with for at least a couple of days. Maybe not another rug. I will have to cut some more fabric. I decided not to chop up this pillowcase because it's the least marked and the tidiest, and it's 100% cotton, so I'm going to keep that for something else special. This is, I can't see if I can, I'll see if I can find the video where I showed you my wax wraps. Okay, this is what's left of the last loaf of bread. Someone will have that for toast. That's the good thing about homemade bread. It might not be as fresh and springy the next day or 2 days after, but it's still perfectly good for really yummy toast. You can see this wax wrap that I made to cover my bread is well used. It's so being folded. And what I will do now, well, not right now, but within the next week or so, because I do use it a lot for wrapping my bread in, is I've got some honey left, some wax, proper beeswax. I think the paraffin wax would probably be a little bit better, because the beeswax really does make a terrible mess of appliances, or rather tins and things. So what I'll do is, there's different ways of doing this. I could put brown paper, fabric, grated up or chopped up wax, more brown paper, and iron it on with the iron. Or I could, oh, somebody has cut the bread in the packaging, I think. Oh, that might mean I might need a new one. You could just take an oven tray, grate up the honey or chop it up into the tray, melt it in the oven till it's liquid, stick your fabric in and pull it through, and then dry it. But that makes a mess of an oven tray that I don't have to waste. So brown paper and wax will do. And I think I'm going to make quite a few more of these, and smaller sizes for wrapping up sandwiches and little bags. I might make some wax wrap bags. My daughter bought me a couple of wax wraps for Christmas last year, so I still have those. And I shall make some bags as well for things. And in not just the wax wraps, I still have as well some, but I'm going to make a lot of bags. I know I can buy the shopping bags. See if I can find one. Oh, right here. Bought this one from a supermarket, but the string has come undone, so I've got to sew it back through the hole. But I will make some more of these out of my curtain nets, so that when I go shopping, and keep it in the car, so when I go and shopping and get my groceries, my veggies, it's already in the car, because I keep forgetting to take them with, because they're always in the drawer. So if I make loads, stick them in the car, then when I go and get shopping, they're already there, and I can carry on trying to do more of the zero waste shopping. It's very difficult in a supermarket because everything's got packaging in, but I can leave the packaging with them quite legitimately. Take the shopping out of the packaging and leave it with the supermarket, so you can have your plastic back. I don't want it. There you go. So that's kind of the things I've been doing, planning on doing. Plant ties. I might keep a couple for my granddaughter's head for ribbons, just to see if she likes it. But yeah, don't throw away the seams. Everything can have another life and another use. I hope you have a good week. Until next week, which will be, what's next week? Craft week. Yeah, I've got something to show you next week to do with the craft. But it's not the actual wooden craft. It's something I'm making from the garden. Again, upcycling from what would have gone in the waste. Well, there still will be some waste with the leftover stuff, but I'm reusing stuff in the garden as a craft. And I have to put it up high. I'm not going to give away too much. You'll have to wait till next week. It's decorating in the garden to put something interesting and pretty in. So you'll have to wait till next week to see that one. So, all right, folks. Do have a lovely week. I shall speak to you next week. Have a good one. As per usual, I invite you to like, subscribe and share. Your comments are always welcome. I do love hearing from you. Take care and goodbye, folks.